Buddha, the Dharma, and the slogans, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. The Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings.
Good afternoon. Kita nggak usah tinggi number Yundi Yilak Dun say you be kinoneta, Marhiba, Tintemba, Tinsova, Niyong, Chamba, Ninjas, Tanato, or Robsi and Simbaris.
So then now, in terms of the 7 pith instructions about cause and effect for developing bodhicitta, in terms of these 7 points, there is being aware, recognizing our mother, remembering her kindness, wanting to repay her kindness, and cultivating love and cultivating compassion. So we've gone through the first 5 of those 7.
다 이마트 학삼, 다 학삼 세야 되라다. 동어서 다 대래 레탐 대와 차디요. 근데 다 남주이나 맞서 레카 레베 까울라 가르스나다 지 유질 또 그러와. 레카로 지위나 예 레카 지 레이 나야고 근데 베개와도 나 nimble 예 개와 도빈스야로다. 멀리 치 유라야. 지 라부요와 다 굉장히 많이 봐. 학삼 세야의 가르세나 어떤 얘기 지 나타가 탐지 점을 고모 토벌 제위지도 나랑 랭게를 삼바 responsibility와 진짜로 로바지야 나랑 랭게를 삼바 굉장히 토는 지금 შემ바지에 토나리 만호나리 지 학삼 남다게 지야 땅아서 망티스 레카 망고 틀리어와 레카 베나 지노 딱 원하는 데 토나 레카야 고치 야 대만토나 야 디스 레카 충분 지야로 다 카운터리야 디 틴디 많이 봐 지유를 또 막고 베 레카 간리기 리고 요게 있나요 디 텔리야 햄비기세 대가는 이게 레카 간리기 베나 다한다 담비 추 많이 나와 지금 레카로 되는 레벨이나요 코치 카세도 나라리가 이베소로 지내더니 드미치야가 학삼 슬라고레스 이제 좀 힘들게 하고 지도로 같이 메모로 같이 나는 지속이야.
So then the 7th, or excuse me, the 6th of these 7 topics is having we could say, a special, or we could even say altruistic intention. And with this, normally when we talk about our work and activities, doing things, engaging in meritorious practice and so forth, a lot of times we talk about outer things that we do. But this is not dealing with the outer expressions of activities. This is dealing with when we are, trying to attain the omniscient state of Buddhahood, then as part of our responsibility, we need to, work to help sentient beings. And so this is part of our intention inside our minds when we are, traveling the path, and whether or not people see it or don't see it, inwardly we feel this, and so you can see a lot of times, like in the outer world, or in our own lives, sometimes if the person that we're doing work for or something sees us do the work, then we're like, oh yeah, here I am, and we it looks we do a good job. But if people aren't looking, sometimes we half do it, and and so this is not like that. This is an inner practice. So when we are striving towards enlightenment and engaged in activities to support beings, we cultivate this altruistic intention. And this doesn't just apply to virtuous Dharma practices and so forth. This also should apply to whatever we do. Even if it's not Dharma practice, we apply ourselves to do it with an altruistic intention, to do it thoroughly and to do it in a helpful way, and so forth. And so this goes for common activities as well.
다 디슈들라 가서 다 창접쌤이다. 창접쌤이다. 지용도 이루와. 다 디슈라 가서 다 델레베치 나노도와. 테네 동레니 보페르마르장. 티니 롱통 쫑데 차스.
So then, The seventh of these 7 points of instructions on cause and effect is to cultivate bodhichitta. So now we're going back to the main text on the 7 points of mind training, so don't get too confused. There were two. Drupon's just making sure people are paying attention.
So that's good. So this 7 point. Or you get in our doing time, and the 7 point people come with the chair, Chico, Maris, Hako, Tosika. Then a day or what, you may not doing the world, this 7 in a 7 point mind training, that in one of the place.
So these 7 pith instructions on how to, practice with cause and effect, these are, helpful. It's good that we don't, mistake one for the other, but these are helpful instructions so that we don't make any mistake when we are doing the 7 points of mind training. So they are to help clarify this practice. And so going back to the 7 points of mind training text, then it says we are at the cultivation of relative bodhicitta. So it says, train in the two, giving and taking. In Tibetan, this is tong len, sometimes giving and receiving alternately. And these two are to be mounted on the breath, or you do these two while breathing in and out.
That you don't have to land the Damabuji, Haku, don't let the not so around me, also Julie, what they Jikta, Yawaina, the Sonamina, the Kanyata, Karsonaki, Longchu, or to Tama, the Longchu, Natang, whatever, Kang you what they Shan of Jaya, the Shan K, Nata, the near town, Kariuna, Mando water, Solana, or that day, the Tong say a day, Katon person, also now Kang you are not so good, Kang you are Tonya. The Shan K, Nata, the Nila, so Solana, the stone as that means what for.
So this practice, maybe you have heard about it, maybe many of you have heard about it, it's called tong len. So tong means to give or send out, and len means to receive, in this case receive back. And so what are we giving out and receiving? Here we think about all the good things that we have, basically. All our virtue, all our merit, our happiness, our wealth, prosperity, everything that we cherish and is good, then we give it out, we send it out to others. And then we receive back, we take on all of the sickness, the suffering, the pain, the trouble, the strife, everything difficult and so forth, then we take that all back upon ourselves. And so we do this giving out, give and take, so to speak.
That don't you get some wonky to somebody, that be the living up at Chimboy, that Chipena sincerely, don't let me chivina, Benaton Senata, Lemba Carsina, Pajoki, Nasa, Dungar, Tindiji, and Mutsu, Lambina, sincerely chivina, Raya, Nazala, Dungala, Yungri, is only. Tea in that tea on the late Tambo Pala, Tadum training in a late Tambo party, that Carchi Chigumare is. Le Tambo Pala Carchigure, Slavina, Tanging us the drum gigi or what? Not a Zawopumos, Tidom Nagi. Or that ring, Nala Kangewa, Narala Jik Kangedan, Jik Shananda, and you Watala, Then these some no tangi, near telling Penam, can you what it? Senior Hidaki, can you see or something tomorrow? Man, that's a you be now, near Nata Niki, Senior Namiki, Nata, see you or someone. Gana Yeke, Jita, Gavaro dropping in a yan, Gavaro dropping tea, Nipalatin, Senior Namiki, tomorrow of a country, given the seashore or something. But Tambote, teach you as well. In a Katokara, don't let you marry la Kurama.
So, this is the tradition of, Tonglen. And regarding this in particular, the master Jigten Sungun, he has, excuse me, a key point of instruction. And that is, Jigten Sungun taught that, well, if we sincerely really do Tonglen, and we, take on ourselves all the sickness and suffering of beings, then we'll actually, if we really take it on, then we will get, if we have, like magic powers and so forth, we will get sick, we'll suffer. And so, Jigten Sungun said, for beginners, then you don't need to do that. And so, like the story that we heard earlier, the boy named Girl, where when that person, when Girl was in the that hell realm, that terrifying realm, about to be cut up, then they said, may all, because I'm about to experience this suffering and pain, may all other people with such karma, may they be liberated from their pain. And so, what we can do whenever we experience, problems, fear, anxiety, pain, and so forth, we can think that through my experience of this, may other beings not have to experience this. And so we can make that aspiration. Likewise, when we engage in virtuous activities and experience, happiness and so forth, we can, think through the power of this virtue, may all sentient beings experience happiness. And so in that way, it's not as, for beginners, it's not as difficult. And so the main thing is that we can do this practice to the extent that we are able.
Well, that is 다 단기 공시가 나지래. 먼저 동련 대치용 그 깔라네. 다 가주 동련 치그래. 다 시 컨디지라 동련 치그래. 라비나. 근데 베나차샤의 현재 기나살라 줘. 나사당. 동일라서 바랑라야. 레메 깔라야. 라야 근데 다 동일서 총비 깔라. 근데 지게 되어. 와다 동 가신 또 스타트야 오셔서 메시지를 누니다 렌토서 막 단나나 가리요나 단디그레 선비 로지티에서나 되게 뒤뒤라 되게 동안에서 소한테 동안에 미각문에 통통해서.
So then, when are we ready to do that kind of advanced Tonglen, where we see others suffering and sick and so forth, and then we take it on ourselves? When we can take sicknesses on ourselves, if we see someone else in pain and suffering and sick and so forth, if we can take that on ourselves and not regret that, and not feel, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that, but instead feel, oh, this is good, this is amazing, I'm taking the suffering and pain away from another person. If we can do it that way, then we will really see, the qualities of Tonglen practice, and we can do it that way.
간디제 요기나 되는 농제가 냠도 희한화 템버로 희한화 중반으로 되지. 진짜 농농 앞에 가라. 그냥 신전신비게 나타나고 동행으로 가야 되는 만도가 되게 이거나 되는 랑글로 농 냠도 그냥 뭐 같이야.
So then, here it says these two are to be mounted on the breath, or we could also say that we do this sending and receiving while we are breathing. And so, how do we do this? Well, when we breathe out, and we are doing this practice, then we breathe out imagining that all our virtue, merit, happiness, and so forth, that all of these things go out to other beings. And then when we breathe back in, then we imagine that we take on all the suffering, sickness, pain, and trouble, and so forth, the problems of all sentient beings, and we breathe those back in, imagining that we inhale those all.
이는 양다 아양다 삼계로와 쭉 데려다 가서 강의 유명하더라 지금 나타나서 봐도 이 강의 유명하디 또 당지 가시 요와 대삼지게 네 딱 강의라서 용기여서와 딱이 truly와 complete로지 먼저 다른 좀 같은 maybe나 그냥 맞춰야하네 대점지게 강의 신경신도 중에 렘비나요. 그 내가 점을 맡아오기 대점지게 용기여서
이 강은
수준적이나 효율적인 말이었어.
So, especially furthermore, very importantly, when we talk about problems and suffering, sickness, and so forth, ultimately all these arise because of self-clinging, self-grasping. And so, if we really don't have any self-grasping, and we can practice from a state without any grasping to a concept of a self, then we can take on all those problems, all the sickness and the suffering, and really take those on. But if we continuously meditate without a strong fixation or grasping to a self, if we can practice this selflessly, then there's no place for those to stick. So maybe just for like a very short moment, we might experience a slight kind of sensation, but or like a slight kind of negativity, but it doesn't have any place to really stick and take hold, so we don't really strongly experience those things.
Reason they 가져다 당지 매베게 jun세나지 그가 나지게다 생부줄 프로와지 요래 다음에 심지어는 그냥 토서 선발하고 지려와 근데 그가 나지게 양 참례들이 이제 강의 요기 심지어다 통백가블라 근데 텔레님께 공백가블라 나 정조선 지에서 선배했고 프로와티 조라메가지 때문에 내비였어요.
So then, one reason, of course, is that, as explained, that we don't experience, suffering is because we are meditating without self-fixation, grasping to ourself, selfishness. The other reason, too, is that when we practice in this way, and if we are able to really take delight and joy in the idea and the experience of sentient beings being freed from suffering, then that joy that we experience of freeing sentient beings from suffering, that overwhelms any negative experience. And so in that way, then we come to experience unchanging joy through this practice.
종지요리가 종수비나 근데 당에만 근데 다 상지 견제는 뭐 트렌드와 되네 매직 되네 삼바지 요레스 삼자네 되네 뒤에 너더라라요 되네 다 매상지 요레스 되네 매상지 게다 되네 니마지 매상지 게 되네 다 부고와 아주 되네 라스레스 그 라송도 되네 다 매상지 게 되네 다 바와 마스다 오 버주게 데 부 카와노이나 스테레 라베 이네 코란소게 부티게 오다 단기 버주게 부고데 이네 디 삼바데시게 캄베기 치들라 이네 통송스 라바레스 이네 다 마타티게 되네 오야야 다 제기나 삼바 코란 통원게레 주텐디 되네 마장디게 오다 저랑 이 파죽 그 부분도 통송에서 되게 제지 티버레스 그래서
네, 상보게 주디서. 예, 바주 통성에. So,
카로카 부분
yeah, cat. So, concerning this, there is a story. And so, go to guess. So, during the time of the Buddha Zedong,
yeah
during that time, there was, so previous Buddha Zedong, if anybody knows the Sanskrit, was it?
no Buddha's kind of like life
Oh, Zelam, this
Yeah.
Sanjay Shaktitika.
yeah
Okay, Kunda. So, sorry, this is the time of the Buddha's Shakyamuni in his Zenam.
yeah different lifetimes history so
What do they call those? Sometimes Jataka. Yeah, the Jataka tales. So in the Buddha's previous lifetimes, there was, in one of his previous lifetimes, there was a retreatant, a meditator. And then there was this Misan.
yeah family
Yeah, there was the family.
down below the mountain
Okay, below.
the mountain so you can in the mountainside
There was a retreatant on the mountain,
yeah
and then the family in the valley.
yeah I think so
And so they had a calf, a baby cow that they lost. And so they asked all around, have you seen my baby calf?
No, this the talking about the family. So then this the family, the children. He said, "Oh, I saw this next to the retreat caverns, retreat caverns. I saw there."
Okay, so they said that they saw the retreat. It was near the retreat, and so then the family then went up to the retreat place and then asked the retreat, "Have you seen, this calf?"
대리들이 저런 그 봐줘 그 통성에 라드티네 그 토마스 나오더라고. 대라드티 is the family 토가로 사요 같이네 고치지. 대는 통요래 삼티네 남상티네 고치요 봐. 한번 고치. 한번 고치를 같이 요래라나 리트 텐티게 rock dry 소작요 봐. 되네 뭐 보러오지. 요래 통요래.
So, the retreatant was like, no, I haven't seen your calf. I haven't seen it anywhere. Not me. No, didn't see it. And so then the family, was like, we don't know. And they had some doubts. And so they went over and they opened up the door to the retreat cabin, and they looked in there, and the retreatant was in the process of dyeing his robes red. And so his robes were they had some like red on the robes.
伊那大一的应该他挺上下过，你们可肯去过我可肯去做那做过我， 不可肯去去个要的，这里去了嘞，我不就同意了哇。
So he was, you basically had to, like, in the old days, you had to boil sometimes, or like kind of heat up the, water with the dye and so forth, and then, so it would fix into the cloth. So he was dyeing things, on the stove, kind of like boiling the water and so forth. And so from a distance, it looked like there was some like red stuff in a pot.
So that times maybe these days different, so maybe they're dark, can see like a bit, but and so there's no electricity. So anyway, so that also big conversation, huge not investigate hands and all that kind of thing to say, and then have to talk. The Chigi or something, Koran, Kato Koran, Koran logo leader of the kingdom or report to you.
So when they saw that, they got super upset. They're like, they didn't investigate any further. They're like, no, we see you. We see that, that red blood in the pot. That's our calf. You killed it, and you're, cooking it, and we see you, and then we're gonna report you to the local.
They didn't talk, but they know okay 100%, they killed the cow, and so they directly report to the local whatever king so they didn't talk to the retreatants, but so they said then he said really upset because he look like retreatant practitioners, but he's doing is just kill the cow and eat meat and so on. So he report to the king or local leader, and local leader says this is not right, that is so have to put the jail. So local leader king order him and put the jail. So also, and later on, the family found that the cow baby, So then it's quickly to report, I'm so sorry that he didn't kill the cow. So we missed it, But then the king said, okay, yeah, I can release, him. But the king forget. So he in the prison, I think they said maybe 6 months or something, 3 years, I don't know, whatever. Long time in prison. So finally discussion again, and then his family know he didn't come back a long time, and then discussion with king, everything he released, and the families really regret, I'm so sorry, we really mistakes. So now on, I can support you until you die, whatever needed, So comparing to the retreatant. And then the retreatant said, no. You don't need to do anything, Thank you very much, It's really helpful. So, the guy never cheers, never cheers. In a young adult, if I have what you tire about this, as much as possible, check your Nasanji to your maris. The Gomamuchi, I don't go charm your maris. In a that chance of the Danny, I'm not drink the party chansons. Tea in the Daniel Mongwala, a chorale, Dina, Kadichis, or the Choran family chadios. Near Mongwala channels, just should a Galilei chorans support catching chilies to which is lovely.
So, the retreatant said, no, it is you I have to thank. Through you guys getting me falsely imprisoned, it has benefited my practice tremendously. The retreatant said, I've been practicing here, trying to overcome, and purify all my, negative deeds, but I haven't been able to purify them all. And, I have to purify them if I want to attain enlightenment and Buddhahood. And just now, by you guys getting me, imprisoned, then finally I was able to purify all my negative deeds. And so thank you so much. I owe you the greatest level of gratitude. And so in the future, I will serve you, I will, help you, I will do whatever I can to support you because you have, helped me so much.
어떻게 그 갈색거다 즉 강의 요비 있는 양 강의 들라 갈색거래 기계다 배주지도 없나 다 듣고 정하고 있어.
So this is an example of how, sometimes even if we have problems, if you know how to utilize those problems and take them onto the path, then you can utilize such situations to, purify negative deeds and obscurations and so forth.
어다 텔레칸데 좁아지요. 와, 좁아지 갈세나다 가두이나 빼는 가서 참참 되어라. 즉 기생가 나비나 다 나서 야고면도 사람들 로지요나 나사도 너무 영만은 가 프로블럼 지요나 딱 프로블럼도 사람들이 로드 좀비나 근데 프로블럼 제대로 그랬어.
So, this is an example of how, we can take joy in kind of even a problematic situation, and that can be a beneficial way of working with it. On the other hand, it can be problematic, for example, if we get sick and we think, oh no, I'm sick, this is no good. It can actually compound the sickness and make it get worse. And the more we fixate on our problem, they can grow and grow.
So interesting. So it depends, Dharma practitioners. So if really we are Dharma practice, enough meditation, enough Dharma practice, so whatever comes, good things or seems to be bad things, always happy, appreciate. Right? So yeah, today is happy, everything's all good, right? Happy, right? And maybe one day, maybe there are problems. The problems are opportunity, maybe I say. So the many ways, I say, I don't like say, this, they are kind of like more create, more, whatever difficulty, suffering. But instead, I say, good, maybe, I can be sickness, can purifying the other sentient being sickness. So, and sometimes, also we don't know other situation, So sometimes we have problem, there are no other problems, easy to understand it, right? Today you understand, when you get something, 저도 가르치는 대를 지하기로 와. 근데 나를 좀 강요 maybe 나, 근데 향기 좀 not big deal. Some kind of 얘는 나 problem 이거 하거나, 근데 he used to 네, 근데 향기 problem 하고 와. 근데 그걸 인지 지하래 내라 이거 is 그지야.
So it can really help us develop compassion too. Sometimes when we don't have a lot of problems in our life, even if we kind of notice that some people have some problems, we don't really think too much about it. But then when we have problems and similar problems and so forth, or just problems in general, then, it can make it really easy to give rise to compassion for others because we know to some degree what they're going through. And so in this way, having problems can be a way that eventually we, if we're practicing the Dharma, they can help us generate compassion towards other beings that experience those too.
So now the next one. 게다 유som Tucson geta jolom gunde tseki jan lemba thoma rame zam musi.
So then the translation of the text says, the 3 objects, 3 poisons, and 3 sources of virtue in all activities train by applying slogans. Begin the process of taking with yourself.
다 남주도이나 ngaso te yore da 유som 해야 돼. 다 그뒤는 ngaso yore. 유들라 유도 용의 유도 마용의 유 되네 파마 해야 돼. 유som 생기요레스.
이용, 이마용, 당,
파마로 당는
어떤 So then, when it comes to the 3 objects, so it says the 3 objects here in this text. So when we regard objects, when we regard situations, there are what we could say are pleasant, attractive situations, unpleasant, unattractive situations, and situations or objects that we are indifferent towards, that we are kind of neutral about.
다 뒤인데 다 가리 용어요래 슬라비나 텔라 유som 텔라 되네 지 ngaso sem기 줄이야 되네 다 렘바 토마 다 수업용어요래 베나지 가르치는 유이도 뭐라 이 잡아는 거지 유이도 뭐라 당원도 거지 다 짓고 니도 와 되게 용어요래스
So there's 3 experiences that we have in relationship to these 3 objects. When we experience, objects that are pleasant, attractive, then we develop attachment. Ones that are unpleasant and not attractive, then we develop aversion. And to those things that we are, that seem, kind of neutral, then we are indifferent towards.
다 뒤는 가르치는 뒤게 지 유som 텔라 되네 다 뇽모 같은 샤롱 같을라 되네 직다운도 되네 다가 요바디 지 유som 비나래 되네 가르치는 뇽모 바 som보디 지 치지 유게 되네 직다 이 용의 선전 야바다 로바다 간데지 요나야 드다 담지데 되네 지금 라는 두바 뒤게 젠치네 다 선전 담지게 지 용몽과 숨보데 강 중화데 되네 지금 라는 두바로 오지 되네 삼방구 사이스
So is it wrong assumption?
선전다 유여로 유 나디스 유당 그가는 유틀 때네 무슨 뭐 여러 보다 가리 시행된 뭐 가리는 전부 대처만 라는 두바로 그래서 템플 지속도
On console key. So through this experience of the 3 objects and our 3 responses, then this creates the 3 poisons of desire, hatred, ignorance, and so forth. And so for all sentient beings, as they experience, these different objects that are pleasant, unpleasant, or, neutral, there is this experience of the three poisons. And so, when we do this practice of, Tonglen, sending out and receiving, we can imagine that we take on this kind of dualistic situation of the three objects and, free sentient beings from these, this attachment, aversion, and ignorance that they experience in these, this way.
어다 뒤는 드니랑 그네 드니 랑타 파테야 로 유틀라네 베지 개와당 소남당 네 노롱조다 칸리지 요비나야 기게 요데와들 다 단계기 심전 유좀들라네 즉 유좀들 안용모 유베나 탐보 맞 ordinarily 유 잡와당 당와다 유야보당 유 너도요로 뒤니 이해내로 제거든
So then, in exchange for taking on, this kind of situation of, the objects that sentient beings develop afflictive emotions about, then we offer and send out all our virtue, merit, wealth, prosperity, abundance, all the good things. We, offer this in exchange to kind of, be there instead of, these, bases of afflictive emotions, these objects of afflictive emotions.
Or, 당봉가 조지지를 마타마치 쓰는다. First concept, also you then the younger one, the chapter you, you, Latamchi, Jenny, you the that meaning, Yaman, you the when you did, Dami you, chapter you, and some around attempting somebody, like similar attempts on somebody. The Chivina, round a temple, that is someone and the young Marwa. Yamana, Karsana, T.U.D. Karsana, Yapotan, Tampuma Chapi Yudi or Karsina Chapidu, Chassi you Kawadua. Chassi you Ragmaro. Tampunga Dama Yori, Dama Sama Yapotona, Dama the Ragmaro. You may put natural logic. Really, Raji, natural temple.
So, also, when, we take on these objects of attachment, aversion, and so forth, if we, take away this object from sentient beings, so we're taking away their source of, that they create afflictive emotions in relationship to. So we take on an object of attachment. And we take that on. And so, we might, some people might think, oh, if you take that on, then you're going to be attached to that idea, that thing. But when we look at that object and look at, what, we get attached to, then that attachment, there's really no basis. It's just a concept. And the same thing when we take on an object that is an object of aversion, and we look at that relationship of our aversion in relationship to this, arbitrary object, then we find again, there's no basis. And so, through practicing in this way, we can also practice in this way where those concepts of, something that we get attached to, or have aversion to, and so forth, those also dissolve.
Oh, another one. Oh. And look at the Yamina or Koranki Chassi Yudle, the Dagu is cutting Chalu.
Good question, Labs.
Last one.
Uh-huh.
Okay. 다 졸음고 있다 장사. 동네에서만 Tucson 유슨 게서 졸음고 어다디 다 졸음 칸데니한테 장거래서 다 디슈블라 노주 데게 강위세 쟁의 장점람도 좋으세요.
아니 당보데 슈람 콘투 스키장 되게 돈나 가르데
다 졸음 꾸인도스
콘
다 달리 배 잡고 유이.
스키장 네 인치게라 캔서
What they say in English.
applying slogans 스키장 스키장 기tun다 그냥 전화 거 Drupon's teaching some from Taranatha's commentary on this.
Are you thinking of mantras? No? When you say slogans?
Yeah, no, this I think that's a little different.
So 데려다 졸음 꾸인도 책 장사인데 다 참된 것을 납고 그래서 책. 오, 다나 가서 그래도 예외지 가서 그래도 지금 랑케 현케 때문에 나사당 등에당 다 담이 랑 미효스는 카게 책 납고 그래서. 근데 원예기 내기 때문에 지금 용초당 소남당 또한 같은 현의 대기 요구세야 그 책이 대기세야 그 책이 납고 그래서 와 책이 되는 게.
So, actually, technically, what it says in the Tibetan, what Drupon is saying, it says, and it kind of makes sense. Instead of, we could also say, as opposed to applying slogans, another way to translate this is to just say simply, in all activities, we can train by using words. And so, we can kind of say in our minds or say out loud, you know, I am taking on all the sickness, suffering, inflictive emotions, negative deeds of all sentient beings. May they, I take them on, may they all ripen on me, and may sentient beings be free from them. And then in return, I give all sentient beings all my merit, happiness, good fortune, prosperity, and so forth. You know, may they have, you know. And so we say this out loud. So as opposed to just what it says applying slogans, we actually can explain this practice, you know, kind of say it out loud.
제가 다 몰라 미워와. 캐당 제가 현을 넣어와. 캐당 캐스는 손으로 다 캐봐. 너를 캐봐만 캐스는 그래. 캐스는 그래다. 교상으로 퍼펙트. 약하스는 whatever 약하. 야보 가리나다. 현을 띠. 총당 함가 랑클랜 라고.
So there is this saying, may everything that is wonderful and perfect, may others have that, and may all the faults, problems, and downfalls, may I take them all. May I have all those.
Well, you better be the bodhichitta.
Bodhisattva?
Or yeah, either.
Yeah, of course, we learning. Not easy, you know, not easy. It takes a long time. But if you really practice, yes, possible.
I was just a little, so is it after the applying, where you're really talking out loud, it says begin the process of taking with yourself, so you mean taking that on, or is it supposed to say talking with yourself?
It's just taking.
How are you making a joke?
But then you after that talking, I will take. Somebody taking what?
Yeah. So it does mean here taking.
Okay.
And then later on, talking.
But we're also talking.
Oh, I'm taking this one, you know, coming. And
Taking that. Thank you.
so, yeah, actually, this also probably you guys familiar. So also bodhichitta or whatever called compassion. So different names. But really is become kind of or bigger mind or build strength, you know. So sometimes we maybe easy to get angry or maybe worry or maybe get problems. So really is that we not enough strength.
Yes.
So then easy to get angry, right? Easy to worry, easy to upset. So this is everything's coming from the mind, you know. So we build up again and again and again. Then eventually we build strength. So we cannot change the outside circumstance, you know. We cannot control, we cannot change. But we can change our mind. So then eventually no need to rely on external things. Whatever external problem, I'm okay. Or somebody, you know, nice to me, but still I'm okay. So I enough strength. So that is the train, whatever, or training the mind, or meditation, mindfulness, practice, whatever generation stage, is really kind of build up strength and power, own power. So mostly, I think, or issues, problems, we really not enough strength. So the problem, you know. So if not built up, and then just we become sort of weaker and weaker, you know, less strength, you know. So like it is like become Friday. Huh?
So it becomes like Friday.
Yeah.
Is that a Monday?
Huh? Not Monday. Monday is better, you know.
I think I know what you mean.
Huh?
I think I know what you mean. One, I think we all look forward to Friday, because then we have the weekend. But on Monday, we're like, uh-oh, here comes a week of work.
Okay, I think about a different concept. My concept is you're working through the Monday, and Friday is very tiring.
Oh.
So that is impatient, you know, so you're really tired, long day. But maybe you're thinking, oh, if you're Friday or coming tomorrow, Saturday, good, maybe good, you know, but mostly not. You're really tiring for the 5 days working, you know, so I think like that, but maybe change, okay, Fridays maybe happy. More energy.
It's a Western concept.
Oh, right, okay.
Right. Yeah, like Friday,
Yeah.
here, everybody's like,
Yay!
yeah, Friday, like it's party time. Monday, everybody's like, oh,
Oh.
There's even a saying, it's TGIF, which is thank God it's Friday. So TGIF, thank God it's Friday.
Klala Tujiche the Friday.
That's interesting. But if you see the driving, actually Friday is worse. More people angry, right, in the road, no?
Yeah.
Not in this culture.
No, Drupon's
That
right.
is in Florida.
But they're trying to get to the party.
Okay. More grass there, more angry. But I just. Okay, so, but anyway. Baby Friday is good. So now the next one is the no chu the can't wait to
So then, now we are at the third of the 7 points of mind training, and this is called transforming adversity into the path of enlightenment. So it says, in the translation, when all the world is filled with evil, transform adversity into the path of enlightenment. So we've kind of been talking about this in a way, and for example, that story where the lost cow that the debacle helped the retreatant, and so they were able to take adversity onto the path. When we train in relative bodhicitta, ultimate bodhicitta, we have opportunities to transform adversities. So, in that way, we can, take negative adverse conditions onto the path. Generally, adverse conditions are, things that we, often look at as external, situations where, there is something that is not satisfactory, there is a problem, there's something that we don't want. And so, here we are, in our training, we take those onto the path. And so it continues then in the root text, it says, drive all blames into one, meditate on the great kindness of all. So, if, most importantly, if we look at, all of these, problems and all these different things that, cause us difficulty, things that we would consider to be adverse, all of these ultimately are something that we create. How do we create them? Through our own self-clinging. And through this sole condition of self-clinging, then this creates all the problems, the adverse conditions. And so, when it says here in the text, drive all blames into one, the one is not one, but the one, it's into one. That one is self-clinging, is the one that is responsible for all our problems.
Okay. So maybe we little bit discuss here. Sometimes we confusing too here, I think, self-clinging. So do you have some questions or we can discuss a little bit?
So when you say self-clinging, is that the same definition as grasping and desire and craving, or is that different?
Really, that's a branch, right?
So those are grasping and desire, those are kind of branches of self-clinging. I know that was mostly in English.
Right, okay.
I've thought about this before, is that there's blame, responsibility, and interdependent causation. So that when somebody does something solely with their own mindset, there is no interdependent causation, there is simply the causation of the individual. Whereas something that is done altruistically or with the intent of other people existing, there is, so all blame is caused by what he said before.
Yeah. Self-clinging.
Self-clinging, yeah.
Self-clinging, self-grasping. One, two, three. One.
So, if an adversity is upon you, such as a congenital illness, a car collision, someone who you have a great connection with, a strong connection with, is no longer in your life for whatever reason. Please explain how that is caused by my desire.
Okay, yeah, this is a good question. So, Moranki Labia, how was the test travel? The Kangen, the somewhat the Daxin Tane, shortly or the Moranki Habo, the nation. In a Moranki Samla, then a Natsa, then a Nakshin of it. Young the Misheta Nasoki motor Gyagna, young mini Kakachaya, and a Michek Shina, the Daxin Latani, and so young to get.
Tati Dangzil Tene Yunga Laptop Marwa. Inatati ko Jig Mazo Le Siada, Jan Siada, and Yiko circumstance Momoyorwa. Yina Yamataji Kasana Sem Zimbalo Simne Jig Rwana Benatati calculation cheese on some same day. Same dinner, the Dubori or Sandro. What I tell you, something the Chaloboa. In a taco happens, catching better, you know, the Danzich guy or Marwa.
So that's a good question. What we're talking about here is not like, outer circumstances of karma in a way, in terms of this mind train. when it comes to self-clinging, it's more about often our response to the outer workings of karma. So for example, if we get in a car accident, it's not our fault, somebody hits us or something. That's karma because of, gravity and momentum and all these different things. Somebody not paying attention possibly and that kind of thing, maybe malfunctioning lights, who knows? But it's karma, there's cause and effect involved. But when it becomes problematic, that's what happens inside our own mind, how we respond to the situation. So if we cling to ourselves and we think, oh, poor me, this is a terrible thing, how could this happen? And, for example, and we get upset, or, the suffering actually is something we have control over. And so to the degree that we have self-clinging and we focus on the negative aspect of that situation, then, we suffer.
And it's exacerbating the adversity.
So the problem in that sense is, compounded. And so this is different than just the outer circumstances of the world.
Which are very adverse, by the way. So in other words, karma is outside of adversity?
I think, in some ways everything is karma. All reality is related to karma. But in terms of this mind training and freeing ourselves from grasping at things as being problems, this is kind of a specific way of freeing ourselves from self-clinging. And maybe on like a super ultimate level, if we're completely free from self-clinging and we are Buddhas, then maybe, we can dissolve into enlightenment and exist in a state beyond karma. But that's, relatively all sentient beings experience karma.
And I ask this with respect, very much respect. I find that abdicating responsibility or equivocating as a human mind, that's an easy way for me to avoid suffering. It's not addressing. And so when I look at my Buddhist precepts, I think to myself, how is this taking responsibility instead of what's the word I want? Avoiding it. It's like if you're in an adverse situation, such as a car collision, I like using examples, such as a car collision, right? I can go to the hospital and go, wow, isn't it great I wasn't killed? Well, you know what? It would have been greater if there was no accident. So this way of equivocating, I'm trying to get beyond that and understand what Buddhism offers me in terms of mind training, where I am not abdicating.
What means advocating?
Abdicating means,
Or equivocating is a better word, actually.
You're talking about spiritual bypassing?
Amen. Amen.
So the question is, how do you do this practice without falling into spiritual bypassing?
Yes,
right.
thank you.
Yeah, I think the moronki, the pena, the motor gyamna, the moronki sampananga, or the kaya chepa yomare gyapma gyap, kaya yomare, this, actually, they are yomare, they ki samba das nyaman mare. Kara is na muni, the motor so gyapsong. In a di nyamche lojong kikaba aso kandres nyamche pena modogyabna ni pena pechik la o mishenda di dunga tang kangyen yore na tanda di ki nyamyong yore na konsola ningje ke tukere te nanchin pechuche tukere daxin champo mena. Thank you.
Can I add this to it, because I think this would clarify, like, how do you do the practice without lying to yourself, right? Because you don't choose the way you feel about a negative thing. You don't choose that, and so is the practice asking you to lie to yourself and pretend that you're not feeling negative, right?
That's good.
I want to add a little bit too.
They are not very confusing.
May I please?
Sure, please.
You're coming up with names for one thing, right? You just, and all the things that you're talking about are one thing, they just have different names, and that's change. Okay? You've gone from a happy state to an unhappy state. Or from a sad state to a happy state, but it's all change.
Circumstantial.
Yeah, you name it whatever you want, but it's really just, you've gone from one place to the other. And you have no control over it.
And this,
The only thing you have control over is how you deal with it.
Okay, see, that's where it gets tricky though, because as this gentleman said, your response is immediate and it is very human. And in order for me to train my mind, do I have to become less human?
No, that's what your meditation practice is for. That little waste of time, that's where you get to choose.
Well,
You know,
maybe,
when I
Okay.
meditate, I have some bad-
Okay.
maybe we can hear from Drupon.
Right.
Oh, God.
Okay, so they arrange a lot. But so here what Karsana ngaso dangzi se ya de ke ta tangi ke ja tigang ro yo wa. Yin na ya da ko ko jian se ya de da ka du yin na yung ya ji ta ko chama lo la ko jian yung ya ji ta ko natural ro ka ji do ji des.
So then, we're talking on one hand about, self-claiming and our relationship with that. But then, in addition to that, we're also talking about different circumstances that can arise at any time.
Natural, okay.
And these outer circumstances are natural, as, an experience as a sentient being.
태양 아주 간도 지투고요, 그래서.
So, we don't have control over, every last outer circumstance.
이는 야다 거기 젠들 야보양용스게 누보양용스게.
And also, it is the case that sometimes good outer circumstances arise, and also kind of negative outer circumstances arise.
다 티갑라 카르스나 누보용비갑라 다 누보들 충당야 타지지 거래스.
So then, when negative circumstances arise, then there are ways and methods, even though they arise, there are ways that we can work with that situation and problem.
First, 카르스나 acceptance is.
So first is accepting.
The acceptance here the sometimes misunderstanding chigors. Or accepting the I'm loser logic. Then magic do what you not accepting China. Rama Pamado, some of them in the Maris. Acceptance is the most powerful is.
So when it comes to acceptance, some people have a misunderstanding about it. Say somebody does something bad to us, and if we accept that, we might think, oh, I'm a loser. That was Drupon saying. So you might think, oh, I'm a loser, I'm accepting, I'm taking, this negativity,
그 말이라고 accepting.
but it's not that.
It's accepting that it happened, period, right?
Accepting the power is.
So really having acceptance is powerful.
근데 다 second choice 가리요를 나오이나 다 대성의 방법이었어. 단기 accident 두고 이만도 많이 봐. 나 힘마송 삼바텔라. 로직 뒤치 가서나 그 accident 두고 차대요래. 얘네야 accident 두고리 삼야 매와데 가나. 근데 나 힘마송 벨 소대 쳔보리 페체 마트니 히아노리 기나 힘도 삼바텔라. Logic some of
So then another opportunity that we have when a negative thing happens, perhaps we are in an accident. And so one way would be to look at it in a negative way. But another way to look at it, if we don't die and we're still alive, we can think, well, that could have been a lot worse and I could not be here, and so we can look at the bright side of things.
More important career lavina, problem take kanye yoris when accepting physically when accident chana, kanye yorwa. Tati kanye ti gana harchi gorsina, same katone, ya build up, kanye ti majita kichigori, same kitenge, tanga tribudu somebody, ti kanye ti samoshira mahamachine. Chi kanye ti lo, same kiti, lul kanye yuina ya, same strength manyamba, nadrigidu. Somebody would tell a bit simply mewa. That's simply get on the meat, say the little the Yomara. In a young Tadon would build up and do so much words.
So, and most importantly, then, because, for example, in this example of an accident, it's possible though there are problems, it's, we can say, well, I didn't die and so forth, but then there's still problems. Maybe we got hurt. Maybe there's other problems with the situation. And what we do have control over is how much we build those problems up in our mind and focus on the problematic aspects of the situation. And so it's not easy. No one is saying this is easy to do this mind training. But what we can do is to not over-focus on the negative aspects of things and accept that, we, have the opportunity to move on.
Tiga nangye the song but that subuk physical ki nata no yimbi na ya ko pena nata no tela tene pena 75% subo nata yona tiga na sente yona tene ko jik nata ko jaja jata ma chalo ya ti lungu yoris. Tin yu kasna ti ya lu ki nata yona sem ta holu yona ta ta ga so te yorta ta gom jam ne ta nata mo ko ji ta ro yo wa ti khar ji ta yo se na ko mes marwa ina ya ko nata ti gom ti ge sim ba ho ru chi except che yu na su bo ti ke nata ta ro ya ti yu do.
So, for example, if we are sick, and we have like physical illness, and it is like a 75% bad physical illness. If we focus on it and we worry and we get stressed out about that illness, then we experience it as 100% bad physical illness. On the flip side, if we accept the illness for what it is, and we, work to, not focus on it all the time, and we work to, relax and try to open up our mind through meditation, then a lot of times we can even heal ourselves from such illness, or at least it's a lot better, the experience. And then I think we had a question over here.
Yes, I was wondering about like mental health, like specifically depression or even psychosis, like where one loses touch with reality. I guess my question is how would you speak to that, or how could you work towards something like that?
그래다 기타 커스나 다고 mentor sempre nasa 중요하디 지 가서 중요하게 되는 데는 양이 양도 그런 problem 지게 되는 중요하です. 일단 마중무도 위나 다 답이요로 공개하야 하나 monitoring 이 지역은 이기고 지 problem 맞아야 행대와 얘네야 다지 나 차비 쉬울라 되지 다시 내려오요 말 파고 차사로 텐데네 얘네야 단단 것이 내사 기도 원자 되기는 자기도 와 이가 뭔지고 그래야 비슷해요 우리 말까지 파워 차서로
So yeah, that is in general mental health and so forth is an interesting situation where if we have the opportunity to really practice before things get kind of very strong and habituated, if there's an opportunity to kind of like kind of practice before a certain mental kind of condition becomes habitual, then we can apply meditation, mind training, and so forth, and maybe it can help, and someone can kind of free themselves to some degree from that kind of thing, especially with like depression or something. But also too, sometimes with mental health issues, it can become very strong, and it becomes this habitual thing that people experience in a very kind of strong way. So we can often need the help of doctors, perhaps sometimes medicines, but sometimes if a person is interested in that kind of situation, they can also combine that with meditation, and through working with other kinds of healing modalities combined with meditation and mind training, then that can be very beneficial. Oh, and then I think we have Steve.
Yeah, I had a question about regarding everything as a dream. And I'm wondering, is it that, and this is, Eric, I think this is based on maybe something that you said, and I just took a little bit of your translation, and I just want to test whether or not I'm close on this or whether I'm off. So to regard everything as a dream, does that mean that our mind doesn't go out to things and reifies them, and rather that we just are in a more receptive mode of all sensory input, rather than kind of projecting our mind outward? So I guess I'm wondering about like a stance that we might take regarding all phenomena in order to regard it as a dream.
Katila tezu labu yosawa yule tabore sola same kinzi kan chigres labore
Te kikola labna de kongi driwa bandre.
nina ta tiro wa meno korang ki tanda kala wa
Te this drawing.
aina ta zu karsena chu tamchi ro wa chu tamchi de jeta na so kari na chaja no only dharma practice, right? So all phenomena whatever practice. So that you can be now boya mambo yore chia mambo yore yina yang karisana telegik be ta ordinary karisana jik yu de chabo ship sembu yo be chapi yu na yu chabo dame yu na yu chabo yina ta chaban ji jibo mare ta chaban ji da dire yina ta tina yang jala ji gu yu na karina leka yina ta karina activity or activities. 차보지 열어.
음.
이나 액티비티가 뭐기 열에 이나야 기 뭐고 거라 대담이 차보며 갖고 말하면 나 이나 것도 다 실제 차보처럼 말하고.
So
이나 다디 그 가서나 지 유일 따니 지금 샘기 때문에 다 가르쳐 온 거이나 그지 그러면 돼야 고 지만 말함대로 예서 말하고.
So in general, when we talk about all phenomena, all aspects of reality, especially not just in the Dharma context, we appreciate them through Dharma practice, but in this world, ordinarily, we experience all these things as this very, solid, kind of real experience. And because we experience things as, solid and real and substantial, then we have very strong attachments and aversions and other inflictive emotions and so forth, and feelings in relationship to them. And we see things and we want certain items, we want certain things, we have desires, other things we don't want. When we practice on regarding things as a dream, then we are training ourselves not to grasp on to outer phenomena as being real. And we have control in our mind, whether or not we, focus in a way on outer things as being, substantial and real. And so in the Dharma training, to lessen our afflictive emotions and so forth, we, regard things as like a dream to lessen that self-clinging, that holding to things as real.
Maybe it is maybe we're walking, sort of not walking it like hard rock, The barefoot, we're hard walking in sandy or rock, it's just hard stone,
Right.
Not like that. So sort of like we flexible, so it is like we're walking like nice carpet, just smooth. So whatever comes, just you can just, oh, that's really bad, not like that. Just
Walk through life as if you're walking on like fine red carpet. Like roll out the dream-like red carpet. Like in Twin Peaks when just experience reality like smooth carpet. Don't walk over the sharp, heavy rocks of clinging. Don't cling.
Are self-generated dreams any different than drug-induced dreams?
That's big difference.
Psilocybin.
That's the big difference, I think.
That what?
This is very big different.
Very, very different.
Senki ni Namgyal, Ze Kensaki.
Yeah.
So
So this, we see that it's a night dream, or if we see it is like, see the dream. So this kind of natural comes, it is natural. But if something is the drugs, that is not natural. So then it comes to the drastic conflict we are.
So, yeah, in this case, the drug, the substances control the experience.
I'm prone to really vivid dreams to start with, okay? And I recently changed a drug to help with memory issues.
A medication, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That could be a little different.
Yeah.
I've heard.
And man, it's went from black and white to 3D color.
Right.
With all the effects you could possibly imagine.
Right, they sell on Amazon galantamine or something for lucid dreams. Cache, this is the actual thing. Cache de pena lola men chitan sometimes mi cache lo gebo kichaki kaba men sana dene lo pengido. Lo ripa drabo. Ani ze linso sana dene sometimes la nilan yang e salvo chagido.
Can take your work, man, I take your man, Zeta Ziki, some of some of this, some make a man can make some dimension of the order, community for some dimension of your sumo. So, no, not what you got pain or big or.
So, yeah, if you're taking like an actual medicine to help, especially, in this kind of situation, that can, have all kinds of benefits. And just as meditation and so forth can have all kinds of benefits and so forth too. And so, especially in this kind of circumstance, if it, is helpful, then, that can be a useful experience.
When a Zeta, some the substance, medicine, then you got some dimension of your.
So, medicines and substances, healing substances can have inconceivable benefits and, effects.
Well, it hasn't done anything for our memory, but it's.
Really dream.
I'm hooked on dreams.
Maybe that's just the first stage. Maybe later. We'll start remembering.
Reality is overrated.
Yeah, sort of along those lines.
Okay,
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah,
So,
okay.
No, fine.
So I have a temporal lobe seizure disorder, and when I'm not on anti-seizure medications, I don't lose consciousness generally with seizures, but I slip over into the space where everything is a dream. And it's kind of comfortable actually, unless, you have to do things. But it's just amazing to me how one's grasp on reality is one little electrical bolt away in your brain. Funny.
Seizure helpful? Yeah. Murang teki men sagi wari, tela men sagi wari. Ani tela tene seizure pengidus. Yang na te chitan natsa di sharki kabla kapu. Yene tanda men sana tene kapu yomare yene nyang kensa yore. De chutamche milam nangshinre.
In a tati metal, Sabu Salis, Iki Nasakahina, men the intimate Sabu Sawa. Sabu Salis. Tito Latin, Pondo Yaro, Limbro. In Takura, Manga Hits, Kasari, Disco, Damna Younger Sigua.
Ani maranki nyam te nangshin chutamche milam nangshinre.
Tina de Apollo. Sabu.
So, definitely sounds like, keep taking that medicine.
Yeah.
Sometimes, we really do need to, take medicines and they can have great benefits. And if, you can safely utilize that experience to regard, phenomena as being like a dream, then that can be very good too,
Yeah,
safely.
it is, truly.
That's interesting, yeah. Sometimes medicine, take medicine is difficult, they have a satisfaction there. It's no use at all.
Side effects. Yes, sometimes medicines can have negative side effects, but occasionally medicines can have positive side effects.
So I don't know, not much time, so we can take a short break. Okay, so now we Julva Hibden Tabincho 창라 강고 원기요스 알레다 필라비스나 어저 레네던 게르데 출망도 이게 따와이 동리송만 하는 이스.
So then, continuing on in the root text, it says, meditating on delusory perceptions as the four kayas, the four enlightened bodies, is the unsurpassable shunyata protection. So shunyata is emptiness.
걔네들은 그 추탐지 견가 내 손, 견가 내 손, 강한 다장, 무슨 탐지 당티가. 아리 기 자마지베게 네 동바추크 세바추크 순조롱크 다 예명 모이 그 그것이 상대예스
Tongba, Chuku, Sawa, Longku,
순유
Songju,
뭐 세바추크
Tongba,
아
Chuku,
동바추크
Longku,
세바추크 순유추 순유롱크
Songju, Longku.
예명 추크에서 있어
So then, so then here, again, it says in the root text, meditating on delusory perceptions as the four kayas. So when we see and regard, reality without any grasping whatsoever, then not conceptualizing anything about appearances, then the emptiness aspect of what we see is the Dharmakaya. The luminous appearing aspect is the Nirmanakaya, the emanation of enlightened body. Their union, the luminosity and emptiness, is the Sambhogakaya, and the inseparability of all those is the essence kaya, the Svabhavakakaya.
딱히 뒤인도 가장 먼저 공부하는 이래와 뒤인다 맞게 주라 근데 그 시에서야 그가 뭘 그시나 이제 이싱아 지나를 겨울에 이렇게 당이 뒤에가 맞추주 창리요.
So it's taught that ultimately the four enlightened kayas, the four bodies of Buddhahood, and the five primordial wisdoms that represent the five Buddha families, they are all contained within our own mind.
제가 나이다 같이 원하기도 원해야 돼 원하기가 같이 몸몸 이렇게 나한테 내주네 내가 저와렉나 센티시나 소트리 다 원하기 고동 원하기 나한테 더 분명히 원하기라 고동 되게 모두 지위요 제가 나 이게 텔레비전에 하나 가지고다 공나 그시요와 그시 그랬잖아.
So when we recognize the ultimate nature of afflictive emotions in their, see their true essence, then they are transformed in their own place. And seeing their ultimate, nature without any concepts, then the ultimate nature of afflictive emotions are the 5 primordial wisdoms, also which represent the 5 Buddha families. And so when we receive secret mantra empowerments, in particular the base empowerment, this is one of the introductions to the kind of ultimate nature of the 5 primordial wisdoms that exist within us. And together, also the 4 kayas are taught to exist within us as well. So then it continues in the root text. The fourfold practice is the best of methods. Whatever you encounter, apply the practice. So then the first of the 4 methods is to accumulate merit. So when it comes to accumulating merit, then there are accumulations. There are 2 different types of accumulations. There is accumulating merit and there is accumulating primordial wisdom. And so accumulating merit, we might want to realize, the great seal of all reality, Mahamudra. We might want to realize the great perfection, Dzogchen. But if we do not accumulate merit and purify our obscurations, then we're not going to be able to fully, reach a full realization of that. And so when it comes to accumulations, accumulating merit entails doing virtuous things, doing the virtuous activities, doing the 6 paramitas, the 6 perfections, being kind and acting on that and so forth. And then accumulating wisdom entails meditation. And so both are necessary to gain the deepest levels of realization. Accumulating merit supports meditation. Likewise, to gain these highest levels of realization in the Mahamudra and Dzogchen traditions, then it is key as well to cultivate devotion, faith, and confidence in the nature of the mind of the teacher.
The most important sonam ki so kare so gure sona that is on go on to bena bomba xinya hamang xinya tanga bena deto so what so say go o da tina sonam ki so ja chen so gure so tin ni sonam so ja chen kare so sena tanga so so la go tanga sa ina de monastery ina de ke ji 다 소바소사 뭐마 뭐도 냠내치사 요네 수어를 소나 법칙 쉬어요래서 다 간디 요를 라비나 반다는 저들 된 소바소요 뭐 같이 요는 비직 대화도 아니 샘케지지 대화지요 샘케지지 조화지요 샘케지지 다 가서 추를 이체지요 비직 대화도 소마 다 텔레지 방향에 텔레지와 또 sono tutte, sono chiusi, scegli tu, insomma. Tenete la mano, ciò che ti voglio.
So, in particular, one of the most important ways that we can accumulate merit to be a supportive condition for our practice is to assist in helping to build things like monasteries and temples and working to support Dharma community and like a Dharma center. And through doing this, it really helps people practice, to help facilitate and create places where people can practice and be inspired. Then all that practice and inspiration that people feel, we receive the merit from that. And sometimes there's situations where people walk into a holy place and they instantaneously feel faith and devotion and confidence. And so when we help facilitate that kind of thing and build also, for example, stupas, reliquaries of the past enlightened teachers and so forth, then the merit that we accumulate from that is incredible.
Infatti quando gli ciuso, quando lei ora ciuso be, bene tempi, ore, ma fondola, ciuci ore, ne ci ora. Quindi che mi va sammi me ciao sono un piacere this.
So also in particular, we should really mention just how important it is when people support a Dharma community and do the work to support the Sangha and facilitate and help the Sangha out and make it possible for people to come together and study and practice the Dharma. The merit is really inconceivable and it is very essential. Without that, we wouldn't have those situations.
There is a for instance, so they ground so your time. They have
So So in particular, Drupon is saying everyone who worked to make this, gathering possible. This is, without you, this wouldn't happen.
So the merit he got 10, yeah. So that just joking, yeah, that's really.
5 merits? 10 merits?
100%.
I think it's countless.
Countless, yeah.
Countless.
Is there
So-
anywhere where I can cash the merits in?
This merit you save, okay? Not cash. One day needed. So really, this very important, So here, particularly in West, I think many people really interesting Dharma, devotional Dharma, also really benefit. But sometimes it's really difficult to keep going and practice Dharma. It's difficult because we count our luck, public support, So maybe here, maybe there's no monastery, no temple, then go outside, maybe nobody practice. Very difficult, So it's really, really important, center, Dharma center or temple, monastery. I think West is really, really important and really beneficial. And also, like he is built here, and so also practice together is very important too. So we have some place, so gathering together. Of course, you can practice your home, but a little bit harder. Okay, so it really is big difference to practice home or practice like center. It's different. So just also very important, just regularly, even though 2 people, 3 people, whatever, just come together is much better than your home. So That's very important. What the sonam Siata, sonam Chizoti, Kiniki Yungata, Jatantisumdua, Yan Samyanga to Jikta, sonam Dharma practice, meditation, make some Jignobalo, Narama Jigwala, and Yamne Chiwanoji, Chagi or Mare, the Sumdua, Chu Kandichi Gorsana, Chu Chial, Holosumi or is. Holosombe, Tayalabudua, Tambo the Kitchen or the Terratin, Chaval Legend Polo, Siata. Chaval Legend Polo Sena, Penacomba Jaya, Choto Jaya, Marapa Chia, organizing Chia, or Tucson, should such a much.
So really, this is one of the highest forms of merit, is to help support, Dharma activities and Dharma practice. If we, just sit there and, all by ourselves and meditate with our eyes closed and recite some mantras, sometimes we can't purify, some of the deepest levels of our obscurations. And so, it is taught that there are 3 spheres or wheels of Dharma activity. And the first of that is kind of called the wheel of kind of activity and work. And so in addition to kind of, helping out with gongpa, gongpa.
Yeah, build a temple.
Gongpa, So, building temples, monasteries,
Centers, whatever,
helping
place.
practice places, and then helping to organize people and doing, work for the Dharma and the community. Without that, a lot of these opportunities to practice wouldn't be there. So it's really an essential part of the Dharma work.
And then that second, third, the Kasina did it, then Lobotosom follows. The Lobotom did that. Beheloya, Yanya, Tobachia, Samachia, then that in it, dignity, or something follows.
So then the second wheel of Dharma practice is the wheel of what we can say reading, hearing, and contemplation. And so this is like studying and learning about hearing the teachings and contemplating them and so forth. And then the third wheel of Dharma activity is the wheel of meditative absorption, the wheel of concentration.
That into that was some wheel or K. Cheshot, Chita, Bonja, they are no Polo Sompenani, Polo Nipa, Sumba K. Chimbo in Modoji, Subuyo. Kolo Tambo, stick to Marshall, may want to categories. Cavalry.
So something
Santa Maratai, that's a part of Tostana. The Chawalage follow the kitchen in some areas. Almost sometimes Lobotosam, almost sometimes the kitchen or some.
So, a lot of people think that, sometimes the Dharma activity wheel of work and, working to help the community and benefiting, building things and so forth, that isn't, so important. But, study and in particular, people think that meditation practice is, the most important.
In some areas.
However, that's probably not the case.
So here is the marble, right? Everybody translate Marvelosa, So he has like lot of disables, So the one disabled, like not Malbas disabled, he become, or directly or Sukavadi or directly equivalent or this genuine or this.
One disciple attained the rainbow body.
That is Suri Lavina, Tine Marbala Ropaching, Marba Koran Kitine, Taro, Tarayama, Tenkan, Tindida, Tine Potambo, Chayo. So, Kotezam study, practice Chio Maris.
So, around, Marba's kind of circle, there was somebody who attained the rainbow body. And people were like, well, who was that? What did they study? What did they practice? And who were they? They attained the rainbow body. And the answer was, oh, that was the person that took care of Marba's horses.
Yeah, no horses, only just not take care of whatever, all of these activities.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry, maybe that was a complete mistake, not the horses.
Yeah, horses, yes. Yeah.
Oh.
Horses, but he take care of horses, and also he take care of whatever it is he needed, physically working for him. Yeah, so he organized whatever he could and clean, and so another thing is that during Lord Jikazum time, so he has like, I think hundreds, thousands, he has, disables. But then, or one time there's many, I don't know, maybe not 100,000 retreatants, but many retreatants. And then the Lord Jikazum said to him, okay, you guys just long time did the retreat, so please show me what called this, complete, or
Please show me, your signs of accomplishment. Do you have any magical powers you can show?
in a tea goblet, that retreat and Samala give hesitation of all Karchibon assembly or Yin a young Koranso, Kalasong can teach the light the Nimashagua, take on the for hanging that the job, lighter, so it's my hanky or
So, at that time, Jigten Sumba said, okay, now, all you practitioners, show me what you've learned. Do any of you have any powers of accomplishment you want to show us? And all the retreatants that were meditating, they were kind of like had doubts. They were like, I don't know if I can, show anything. But the cook, the one that was cooking for all the retreatants, he was like, okay. And then he went over and he took his cooking ladle, the ladle, like the big spoon, and there was a light ray, and he just hung up his spoon on the light ray.
Or that the that or choosing or Dharma activity candy chivi nakuda merit son is.
So this, shows you, how much merit there is for, the, actually doing the work of the Dharma activities.
Okay, then that is the Jurashi, the Jurotambodi, that's on Sosagrace. Juranibadi, the Payagres, the Vatican powers, not the Latayora. Then that Handela, Tanazoji, Platon, the logo digital, the Zolatin, Dormatan, and Chobatin Chibres.
The Shiba Kandro, the lumps. Shiba Kandro Chufong. Okay. So, in terms of the fourfold practice, is the best of methods. First is accumulating merit, or accumulating the accumulations. The second is confessing and letting go, going beyond negative deeds. And so we talked about that earlier during the discussion of the 4 powers by which we can be purified, negative deeds can be purified. And then the third of these 4-fold practices is giving offerings, torma offerings, to the local, what are called kind of gods and demons, or gods and spirits.
The deep permissive cage of Chadio is that Della Karsena Natota, of course, respects down Chiada beings or human beings. Not only that, Karsenata, Teza Mazibita, Kuryu Sunjokia, Ilpe Kitchen Chadio Imam. Tibuta, Jikela Yande, Sajatele Nedi, Jikari entity, Ugodeti, Handina Telayam, Domataya, Sandaya, Tiliores, Teza Mazibiti, Mone, Lumba Telenedi, Kuchulayaki, Zamasoya, Chula Nobamataya, Rela Nobamataya. That money used to benefit such a village, Kabano Yaguna, permission of pure permission, celebration, permission, Shia, Telegit Matsumaso, Samuel, the celebration of Cartier, Parla Dormatan, Parla Chobo Pru, and that's all at the Sata, Pijuchin and Digger, Digoro, Tinichia, Tiniti, King Machia, Tinatic, and special Parion and Protection Chia, Teledis Chia, that kitchen which is.
So, we know that it's important to be respectful of, each other. We should know that it's respectful to be respectful of each other as humans and so forth. But not only that, it's important to have good relationships with all beings, and with the environment. It's extremely important. And making positive connections with those other types of beings that live in an environment, different types of, spirits, entities, and so forth. There are various types of practices that we have. We can do torma offerings, we can do smoke offerings, and in, the older days, it was, essential to really be very good to the environment. And so we should be good to the environment, not pollute the environment, make sure, we don't pollute the water or damage, different, types of things. And in the old days, especially too, in Tibet, it was the custom, and sometimes now still, to ask permission to build a building, and to really, give lots of offerings and have a celebration and make, particular offerings to the different, spirits and beings that live in a locality, so that they would, accept, the building of a place and offer protection, special protection, and so forth.
That's how interdependent. Mother Marson for water, Charlie Yobina, said some decay, you utilize native protection, check or not signing Wimba, don't go Yago Jaya, living with this. Logic, such a tele to go che, such a more Kenny, that how you want to chicken, and they call a word from half or what, you want to get up chamberlain, and then humility, that disaster, more huge, you or you are the Jiggy Taco, you want to accident over Jiggy in a church, and some down go to the Januaries. You say yours. Penang as a Tanado Davina, Sajanga Hill, may show you, Sajanga Hill, may show you a model, Nenos and Donna. The Ganagi Daji got to a hair to young loss over Kanimi, go to the では良さです。
So there are lots of different things that are interdependent. For example, the 5 elements of our own body are highly interdependent with the 5 outer elements in the world. And when we live in a certain location, there's interdependence with different types of beings and spirits and creatures that live in that environment. And if we can befriend them, then they can help us, to experience, freedom from different obstacles and so forth. However, if, we do not treat the environment with respect, if we harm the environment, then it can create problems where, things in the environment can make us sick. Different types of natural disasters can be more likely to occur. Different types of accidents, different types of things, fire, tornadoes, hurricanes. A lot of these things have interdependence with how we treat the environment, the world. And so, it's really important. If we just look at like fire, there's, so many things that we can do to kind of protect the environment, and, maintain, help the environment have equilibrium and so forth, so that things don't just burn. If we don't take care of things, then there's higher risks for disasters like this.
다 제가 나게 맞춰 take environment와 데이터 단다 하고야 로디 굳이 사마 인터디펜던트 차디요. 그는 로고미 중요하대. 그래서 직 대모야 알아서 봐도 단다면 지요로.
There.
많이 더.
So yeah, there are a lot of situations, especially these days, where people, don't pay any attention to, what is good for the environment, and they just take what they want from the environment, through, harvesting, drilling, mining.
I think when I go to the art, resembling, there was some resembling Corona over Corona Jigmana, you could be got some organ cutting Jigmanda with that as a tail then and the summer, some of them didn't go to that long, Mulling alone need to cheat on to get, I need to cheat on to get, don't do it. Tindike da jikana ikasanga so organ tene jikanda mada do so bono otenna yiken zambalen korala tindike do akora so nupa energy korabe jikela ko interconnected sama ina da ngazo so sama ko sona tene ko ina ko jik ben manda wena sama organ jimago ko samina tene ko kale na shilwa
So Drupon says that, he thinks that the earth, if we really think about the earth is alive. And the earth is just like us, and it has, like a life force, organs, kind of vital channels and so forth, especially if you, look at, in the tradition of secret mantra, there are said to be like 21,600 like subtle channels where energy, these 21,600 subtle winds flow throughout the body. And, in our own body, we have all these different vital organs and different types of things. We talked about some of those yesterday. And if we do not have these in harmony, and in this outer world, if we do not respect and take care of the earth, then, just as if we don't we're not able to breathe well. Swiftly, if we have trouble breathing, then that's not going to, we're not going to live very long. And if we don't take care of the earth and the environment too, it can be very problematic for the entire world.
Nari da tingsa di mining damda chigdwa. Ida sawo le terka ze damda sure hagdwa. So samata then recently that is somebody I get 10 years, I don't know, maybe more than that. In that Tibetan who Jammu mining in Chigdwa. In Egypt, Christian or some of them, Christian that Indo, in the that chamber house on the regular Sarwa, and that is only Saki Jew in the bar, and you get some in your Sarwa, and the kiss on it, what you can run over here.
So, in particular, miners and so forth, they just go digging into the earth and, drill and go harvest, whatever, certain various things that they're looking for. And for example, kind of over like 10 years ago in China, they were doing, in Tibet, in these Chinese, mining operations were mining. And they found these giant, like, crystals, these very, very special kinds of, like, crystals that were, like,
huge, tremendous, just big, so.
Tremendous, crystals. And in a way, these are kind of like the heart of the earth. And they just took those out. And those crystals held, they were interconnected with the vital essence of the earth. And when you take those out, it causes the vitality of the earth to, kind of fade.
Who knows? But definitely something, this or interdependence, energy, and so that can be then Greece.
So probably is like that.
Tiene ta zo karsana ngazo tanda tensa di khar tian di yori lavina chi juma she dele tene ko chi yu de zo di yori la de na yin to ma ti su go zo ya de juma she le tian di yori wa juma she di ko balance ya go yo bina chi yu de la ya go ne to le when the individual kazan ro ina chi juma she ya balance ya go ne to go wa Then you have to change one here to destroy each other. Cheeky utilization, need to be your mother. The other thing was to do something that I'm doing. You want to balance me, not like the war. I need to be on my way.
So, in this way, there are the four elements in the outer world. And there are also the four elements in our inner body. And when these elements of the outer world and our inner body are in balance, then there is harmony. And on the other hand, when they are not in balance, when they are disturbed, the balance is disturbed, then there can be disruptions and so forth, sickness and other manifestations of imbalance.
That Hamadilla, Kandro Chuchon and Torma Puristan, also or Jik Lamata, Yadam, Kandro Chuchon Zumazona, and also Telaya Torture, intellectual proof, Tinichia, Kitchen is.
So then, in terms of these fourfold practices, it says the fourfold practice is the best of methods. The fourth is to make offerings and do torm offerings to it says here, the We can understand this to be the gurus, offered to the gurus, offered to the Yidam deities, the dakinis, and the Dharma protectors.
다 디인들 인당에서 개침보대 망치진도 심바데스 이나야다 맨은 디키네야 예망아서 예다가 디텐도 치나 디그레스 이나서 개침보모 개체디 되다 뭐 도사블스
And Jema, Kong,
라비오와
Chi, Nam.
말이 근데 뭔가 예르가 용스기와
So, today, over this, weekend, we've gone through, really the heart of, what is really contained in this mind training. And there are some other sections, in different kind of angles of looking at this. And so, Brennan talked about, maybe Drupon coming back in the future, and that could be a possibility. And but here, we've gone through a lot of the most meaningful core of this as well.
Okay. So also I can read some transmission. So we Taki shook marty Lojong
The Drupon? Oh, so. So then, Drupon is now going to give the reading transmission, the Lung for this teaching. Ni membanzo ke wang la me jo chu je ke te me to lo to me ja la du de membo ji de la do zo ro ni jo lo tan je de ja to tan je de ya lo to tan ji je ke ja to ma ni la ja wa ni bo kan jo zo ba ra ja ni bo zo da dong ba zo to ba zo la la ba ja ju ye zo na zo ma je ni mo ni ba na zo mo de ni zo mo de ba ra Vila Chongmi Dada Jo Dada Kungeng Kula Ji Tuwa Dada Dada Ko Jine Tala Kung Meja Tari Zu Nyan Song Lo To Meja Benjo Meja Tochu Zo Pang Tochu Meja Wachi Yula Ma Kung Kuchu Ma Dong Yula Meja Nyo Jie Ma No Ni Ma La Do Wan De Chan Chao Lam De Jo Wa Yin Wei Me Ma Ke Tu Chi Yin Bo De Se Len Bo Ji De Nu Jiang De Jie Jiang Chu Sin De Rang Jiang Mo Bong Wan De Dong Wa 但面积现在当中这个当我的他那些样们就做。
This virtue may I achieve the all-knowing state, and may all who travel on the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara by defeating all enemies, confusion, the cause of suffering. May the teachings of great Drikung Ratnashri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, Master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara.
Thank you. I'm very happy. So we can, so some Dharma discussions, some practice. So I think important. I really enjoy. Very happy, so we're together, for this weekend. And also we have Undo programs, Undo in the dorm. Undo is sometimes, we said, oh, you have to 100,000, finish 100,000, people a little bit. Maybe they have no time, and also other hand is maybe a little bit hesitation, or maybe you cannot finish the 100,000, So actually, there is we want to practice the two options. So one option is like the retreat or 100,000, and one option is the each session. It's a long way to tell. So this, so 1 week kind of retreat, no numbers, no 100,000. So like for instance, refuge 1 week. So actually we have program. So 2 days with me, teaching legal practice, or online or person, and then 5 days just on practice. So that's we have program. So if you like, I think then the teaching is that is because the so nyamne shop katu doji samala ni ko nyamno di sa no ko yin da the undo de ka yu ni ma de lo kan yo ma si ko cha ro undo de teaching models undo scenario da tanda de u de katu ko da undo ne ya cha de chenbu undo si ti ga na di na ro chu do katu yan go to yo des tin de me tsami ki la ji ta ko nyamno di sa to sa de sa teaching program di lo des.
So this program that Drupon is going to teach is really important because ultimately the most important thing with the preliminary practices is that we practice as much as we can so that we gain some experience in the Ngondro practices. And so, ultimately the Ngondro practices are, basically the same in the Kagyu tradition, Nyingma tradition, other, the various major schools of Tibetan Buddhism. And the point is to practice it as much as we can. And so Drupon is offering a program that helps facilitate practice for people that, maybe can't do the super extensive numbers and so forth, but they can practice Ngondro to gain some experience so that they can, also then, do some of the other practices of fivefold Mahamudra, 6 dharmas of Naropa, and so forth.
Okay. 제가 나기 다 지금 단다디 단디 휴고 나기 직다 상담 멤버 냠도 좀네 냠네 제야데 이렇게 친구 있어요.
So, if you have time and you are interested, then Drupon is saying that it can be really an incredible, important opportunity for us all to practice together, even through Zoom, because these sessions will be available through Zoom. And so he's teaching this at Drongmer, his center in Florida, but they'll also be online.
And also, the chance 내려야 냠네 chance 루루치 냠네 지나 약보여요.
Nyamdu.
예, chance로 work
So then, if you can practice here.
So I'm not talking about wonder, yes, general.
Oh.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, general also here, nice place or whatever. Yeah, so I think very important, so together practice some, whatever, meditation or dharma discussions. I think that's very important. So community. So some learning, so many ways. And also, I think so take time, so we become Dharma practitioner or so have to have familiar. So also really is the important is maybe daily or try to daily practice. So that's really helpful. So even the long term or short term, but maybe daily routine. So that's helpful. And so also, yeah, this life and also maybe we die, during the death, so that time is you remember or Buddha, then that's okay. Yes, that's it. So no need to look inside and so on. But in order to remember, we can prepare now, So you have some lama so on, but I think really is the most important part is just familiar your mind Buddha. Then, or you dying during the death, so you remember, that's it. So you don't need, of course, that during that time you cannot read sadhana, but that's just remember. So that's it. Okay, thank you.